Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to another PyQt5 tutorial video. My name is Jay. In this video, we're going to build a very simple notepad using PyQt5 in Python. This will be a really good exercise for you to learn how to build a complete application from scratch. And here's the notepad that we'll be building in this exercise. So this is a very simple notepad, and we have the file menu, and within this file menu, we have different options. We can open file, and save the file as a different file, and we can also print the file. And as well as we can perform different types of editing action, such as undo, redo, clear the contents, and cut, copy, paste, select all, and wrap text. So basically just a very simple essential features that are basically required when you use a notepad. And the best thing is that when you create a notepad using Python, you can customize the notepad however you want. So you can add different features, different functionalities, however you want. So there's no limitation on what you can do with it. And first, if you're using a notepad that comes with Windows or Mac, the functions and the features are limited to what the application provides. So let's go back to the application. And we have the file menu and the edit menu. And on the bottom, we have this toolbox. So the toolbox is basically just a container that you insert in the same items as the file and the editing menu, except that you're grouping those into different containers. And you can also move the containers to outside the notepads or inside the notepads to make your workflow a little bit more flexible. So if you need more space, then you can drag this toolbox outside the notepads, and that gives you a little bit more room to work with. And on the bottom, we have the status bar. So if I hover my mouse to any of the options, for example, if I hover my mouse to save files, and as you can see that under the status bar is going to show the description of this menu item. And the next thing I want to talk about is the icons. For the icons, I'm using iconfounder.com for all the icons I use in this tutorial. So in case if you need some icons, you can come to iconfounders.com to search for any free icons that match to the features or the functions that you want to perform. And anyway, that's basically everything I want to go over. Now let's get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to import the libraries. So I'm going to import system library and the OS library. Let me make the fonts a little bit bigger. And from the Qt widgets module, I want to import the Q application class, Q main window, Q widgets, and a push button, label, and for the text editor field, I'm going to use Q plain text edit class, and status bar, toolbar. Also want to import the QV box layout, and the Q action, file dialog, and the message box. Yep. So as you can see that we'll be using quite many different classes. And from the Qt core module, I want to import the Qt class and the QSize class. And from the Qt GUI module, I want to import the QFonts database class. And the QIcon, QKey sequence, because we'll be creating different shortcuts. And lastly, from the Qt print support module. And this module is used when you want to access any printing related class. So I want to, from the Qt print support module, I want to import a qprint dialog class. Now let me just run it, just make sure that there are no typos or anything. So here's saying that I cannot find the qprints dialog. Oh, so here I have my first typo. Alright. Now we import all the classes, and the next thing we need to do is we need to create our application class. So I'm going to name this. I'm going to name my application app demo. I'll pass the QMain window class as the parent class. Here, let's give our application a title. So from the self.set window title methods, and let's name this application my Notepad. And here I want to create two attributes to store the screen width and screen height. So I'll name this attribute screen width. The other one will be screen height. From the QMain window class, so we can reference the geometry. So self.geometry, and we can get the screen width value by referencing the width method. And same with the height. So self.geometry.height. So I save all the icons on the, let me go to my desktop. And here I create a folder. So currently these files I'm using is demo.py. And all the icons that I'll be using for this videos are stored within the icons folder. So for my application, for my Notepad application, I want to use this notepad.ico icon as my application icon. So what I want to do is I want to use the methods set window icon, and I'll grab the Q icon class and I'll pass the file path. So it will be icons notepad.ico. Oops. Now here, let me quickly just construct my Q application instance. So Q application, and I'll provide the system argument value or property, and this will be system exit app.execute. I'll name my app demo instance as Notepad is equals to app demo, and here I'll do notepad.show. So let me try it. So here's our application. The window size is a little bit too small, so we'll fix that in a little bit. And here, let me move the set window icons statement to the top. So we have the screen width and the screen height. Now to resize the window, so I'm going to use the resize method. I'll provide the screen width and the screen height. So if I launch the application, and this is what we get so far. So let me just double check the documentation. So if I go to the QMain window class documentation, if I search for geometry, and let's look at the description real quick. So this property holds the geometry of the widgets relative to its parent and excluding window frame. The size component is adjusted if it lies outside the range defined by minimum size and maximum size. I sent from QMain window class the geometry's width and height values is not actually the screen resolution. For now, we'll just adjust the width and height as we build the application. So here I'm going to times the width by 2. I'll do the same for height. So times 2. Okay, I think that looks much better. So in terms of the window size. For my notepads, I want to save the files only as regular text documents, a Python file, or a Markdown file. So here I'll create an attribute, and I'll name this attribute filter types. And we're going to type all the file types that this notepad will accept. So the first one will be just the regular text documents. To add different file type, we need to insert 2 semicolons and followed by the file type name. So this will be Python. So wildcard.py and a markdown file. So markdown file will be the last file type. Here I'm going to create a variable, self.path. I'm going to set this variable to none. So to validate if a notepad is a new document or is an open document, and we'll use the self.path variable and to do the validation. If self.path is not equals to none, we know the notepad file has been opened from somewhere or has been saved on your PC already. Now I want to grab the font style. So I'll name this variable fix fonts. From the QFonts database class, .system fonts, and want to grab the fixed fonts from your PC. So QFonts database .fixed fonts. And want to set the font size to 12. Now I'm going to create my layout object. So I'll assign QVBox layout class to the main layout object. Now we're going to create the notepad editor. So self.editor is equals to qplain text edit. And to set the default fonts the same as your system's default fonts, so we'll type self.editor.set fonts is and we'll provide the fixed fonts object. Now I want to add the self-editor widget to the main layout. Now we have the layout. Let's go ahead and create our container. So the container is just going to be a QWidget object. And we're going to set the layout with the main layout object. Now we'll set the central widget. Self.set central widget. And we'll pass the container object. Now let's just run the application to see what we have so far. So set central widget. And containers. So here I made a typo. Okay. So far from our Notepad application, here's our notebook icon, and here's the application title. Should me do this? I'm going to delete the set window title statement. I'm going to create a method to set the window title, so that way we can mimic in application like Sublime Text or Notepads. When you use an existing file, the file path is going to be displayed on the top. And right now, if we hardcode the Windows title, then the Windows title is always going to be the same. So here's my incomplete notepads, and now let's go back. So here I'm going to insert notes. So this will be editor, and this will be container. So app container. Now we're going to create the status bar. To reference the status bar, so I'll create attribute called status bar is equals to self.status bar. Alright, now we need to create the file menus. So file menus. And here I'll create a file menu object is equals to self.menu bar dot add menu. And I want to create our first file menu. So it will be file. So this ampersand is used when you want to create a shortcut. If you want to create Alt keyboard shortcuts, then you can send the ampersand symbol in front of the letter that I want to use to trigger the shortcuts. I also want to create the file toolbox. So this will be file toolbar, not toolbox, toolbar. And I'll create my file toolbar instance. And this will be file. I want to provide an icon, so I'll use the set icon size methods, and I'll set the default icon size. So let's do 60 by 60. And we'll add the file toolbar to our application. So self.add toolbar. And this method takes two parameters. The first parameter is the location of your toolbar. So I want to place the toolbar at the bottom of my application. So I'll take the Qt class and I'll reference the namespace, button toolbar area, followed by the toolbar object. So file underscore toolbar. Now let's take a look. So here on the bottom, you can see that we have a toolbar. So it's hard to see. We need to start adding different functions and features to our file menu and file toolbar. And this should be singular file menu. So the first couple actions I want to create are open, save, and the save as actions. So the first action will be open file action. And I'll take the QAction class. QAction class. And I want to provide an icon first. And it's going to be file opened icon. So file open.ico. And the second parameter is the action caption. So I'll name the caption open file. Yes, let me just double check. So here, open file is followed by 3 pairs, and F should be capital. So open file dot. And we need to provide self as the parent object. And next, I want to set the status tip. And this will be open file. I want the status bar to display open file. And next, I want to create a shortcut. So set shortcut. And from the QKey sequence class, there are already some available default shortcuts that you can use. If we take this class name, and if we just do a quick Google search, and QKey sequence, right? If you go to the standard shortcuts section, here are all the standard default shortcuts. If you want to quickly assign keyboard shortcuts, so you can use some of the default standard shortcuts, so you don't have to recreate the same shortcuts again. And here I want to provide an action. So when I click on the open file action, and I don't have the method created yet. I'll create the method later. So for now, I'll just make a note to do, and I'll comment this line. Let me just take a look. So here's file, and oh, I need to add the action to my toolbar and the menu object. So right now, all I have is the file menu. And we'll add all the actions all together to the toolbar and the file menu later. So since all the actions follow the same steps, you create a QAction object and you provide the icon, you provide the action description, set the status tip, set the shortcuts. To reduce some of the redundant work, I'm going to create methods to create our actions. So I'll name this method create action. And the first parameter is the parent object, icon path, action name, set status tip, and trigger methods. So here we have the QActions object and QIcon. And this will be icon path, action name, and the parent object. And here I'm going to set the status tip with the set status tip parameter. For the action.trigger.connect, I want to provide the methods that I want to connect to this action. And lastly, I want to return the action object, and that's it. To use this function, so we'll create the action object, save file action. And we'll call the methods create action. The first parameter is the parent object, so we'll provide self reference. The next parameter is the icon path. So icons, save file.ico. For the action name, I'll type save file. And I'll type save file as well for the status tip. And since I don't have the trigger methods, I'll create a lambda function as a placeholder. So I'll just say print save file. And I'll do the same for this one. So connect lambda print open file. And because not all the actions require a shortcut, so that's why I'm not providing a parameter to assign the shortcut. So I'll manually assign the shortcut. So save file action dot set shortcut. And from the QKey sequence class, I want to reference the save enumeration. And I'll copy these two lines. I'll make a copy. And I'll just rename the object name. So save file as action. And if we go back to the QKey sequence class documentation, and there's no shortcuts assigned to save as when I'm using a Windows PC. So we need to manually create the shortcuts. And to do that, so we'll take the QKey sequence class and we'll just type the keyboard shortcuts that I want to assign to this action. I want to assign Ctrl Shift plus S as my keyboard shortcuts to trigger the file save as action. And that should be it. We have the open file action, save file, and the save file as actions. Now we need to add all those actions to our menu item and the file toolbar. I'll reference the file menu object first, add actions, followed by a list object, and I want to type all the object names I want to add to my file menu. So the first one will be file, open file action, save file action, and the save file as action. And I'll make a copy. And this will be file toolbar. Now let me take a look. So here's our file menu, and we have the open file action, save file, and the save file as action. So if I click on save file, and that's going to print the message save file. And I think my so here for my file save as icon, this should be save as file.ico. Okay, now that looks much better. The next action I want to create is the print action. And this action is going to be used to print documents. Again, we'll follow the same steps. So self.createAction. So we use the method we just created, and to create all the actions throughout this exercise. For the action name, I'll use print file. And for the description, print file. Since I don't have the method created yet to print the document, so I'll provide lambda function as a placeholder. Print document. And for the shortcuts, so set shortcuts, we can reference the print shortcuts. And this should be, so these two lines should go below save file as action. And since the print action is only one action, so to add a single action to your file menu and file toolbar, so we can use the add action methods, and we'll provide the action name. So print action. And this one will be file toolbar. And here I have a name error. So here I have a typo. So this should be file. I forgot the I. So let me fix that right now. File menu. So here I have open file, save file as, and this. So here I forgot. So here I have a typo. Save file as. Let me just double check. Okay, so I need the dot symbols. Save file as. We're almost done with the file menu task. So we still need to create the methods that we need to provide to connect to different actions, such as open file, save file as actions. Now let's go ahead and create those methods. The first method I want to create is the updates title method, and this method will be used to update the window application title. So here I'll say self.set window title. The first variable placeholder is going to reference the file paths of your current documents. I'm going to name my notepad notepadx .format. So here I'm going to insert a single line if statement. So I'm going to say that if self.path is not empty or it's not a non-value, then the variable value will be coming from os.path.base name, and we'll provide the self.path variable. Otherwise, we'll assign untitled. The second method I want to create is the dialog message method. We'll use this method to display the warning message, error message, or any message you want to notify to your user. And we're going to provide a parameter. So I'll name the parameter message. And here I'll create my QMessageBox object. We'll use setText method to show the text that I want to display, and as well as a warning icon. So set icon, and from the QMessageBox class, we'll grab the critical icon. So critical, and lastly, we want to show the dialog message. Now I have created all the helper methods or functions. Now I can go ahead and create my file open method. I'll name this method file open. And I'll display a file dialog that allowing users to pick a file. The output is going to return a tuple. I believe that the first element is the file path. I can't remember what the second element output is, but I think it was something like the file type or something like that. But since I'm only interested in the first element, which is the file path, I will send the second element with underscore. So from QFileDialog class, I want to use the get open file name method, and this is gonna be my open file dialog. And the first parameter is the parent object, so it's going to be self. And for the caption, I want to say open file. For the default directory, I'm going to set the value to empty. And for the filter, we can reference the self.filterType variable. And that's it. Here I'm going to insert if statement. If path value is not empty, then I want to insert try except and else block. We'll try open the file first. So with open path, it's going to be read only. And we're going to store the text or strings into a text variable. And I want to close the file. And if we have any error, so except exception C, and we use the dialog message method to display the message. Otherwise, we'll assign the self.path with the path value. Self.editor, and want to insert the text to our text editor. So set plain text, and we'll provide the text that I want to display. And lastly, want to update the Windows title. Now let's give this a try. So we'll take the file open methods and we'll assign that to open file action. Now if I go to file, open file, and here there's no filter type attribute. Let me see. Oh, filter types. Let's see. Oh, so here's a typo. Should be directory, not dictionary. Now if I go to my test folder, I don't have any text documents, but if I choose Python, markdown Python file, I have a couple Python files. Now let's open one of the Python file. So let's open this reader.py file. And here I'm getting the IO text, IO wrapper object has no attribute text. Let me check. Oh, this should be f.read, not text. Should we use the open file icon? So if I pick the reader.py file, and here's another typo. Set plain text. Okay, so that's weird. Let me see. Test. See if I open. Oh, so this script is empty, so there's nothing in it. Let me see. So if I go to test2.py, okay, so this one looks good. So let me use a different Python file. Now if I open test2.py, and here's the Python script associated to the test2.py file. Now let me close the window, and let me close all the Python instances. Now let's create the file save methods. So file save. And here I'm going to say that if self.path is none, then I want to perform the file save as operation. And since I don't have the file save as method created yet, so I'll insert return as a placeholder. And here I'll create my file save as method. Very similar to open file methods. And I'll follow almost the same routine. So from qfile.log class, I want to reference the get save file name methods. I'll provide self as the parent object, and save file as the title. And for the directory default string, I'll set that to empty string. And filter types. And I also need to grab all the text from the editor. Here I'm going to insert another if statement. So here I'm going to say that if not path. Here I'm saying that if the path variable is none, so it's non-value, and I want to just X out the method. Otherwise, I want to insert another try except and the else block. Except that this time I'm going to write the file. So I'll do fwrite. I'll provide the text strings. And if there's any error, so I want to use the dialog message method to display the message. Otherwise, I want to reassign the self.path attribute with the path value. And I also want to update the Windows title. Now I'm going to copy file save as method name, and I want to assign this method to my save file as action. Let's go back to the file save method. Now I have my file save as method created. Here I'll say if self-path is none, then I want to call the file save as action instead. Otherwise, I want to insert tries except block. And this will be display the dialog message. And to save the file to an existing file, so we want to grab the text string first. Next, we want to open the file. And we're going to set the mode to write mode. And then we're going to replace all the text string with this text string variable. And close the file. Now we're going to assign the file save methods to the save file action object. Now let's do some testing just to make sure that everything's working accordingly. So if I click on save file, then the file save as action show file. And here I notice that I have a typo. Let me just double check. Oh, so this should be save file as. Let me close the dialog. Now if I open a file, I'm going to create a new document. So let's name this test.txt. And I'm going to close this dialog window. And I'm going to open that text file instead. I'll type something like hello world and save. And I'm going to close this window and relaunch a new window. Now if I open the file and open my text file, and hello world should be displayed. And I noticed that when I launch my application, the Windows title didn't get updated. So let's do that. So if we go back to the initiate method, and at the end, I want to call the update title method. Right now when we launch our application, the Windows application, the Windows title is now untitled - Notepad X. There are still a couple things left to do, and we still need to create our print method. And I'll call this method print document, actually print file. Here I'm going to create a qprint dialog object. And I'll name this object print dialog. And here I'm going to say that if print dialog object is executed, then I want to print the text in my editor. Oops, should be print underscore. And provide the print dialog printer methods. So this method will launch the printer's dialog window. And this will be self.print file. Oh, oops. Let me go back. And it should be right here. Self.print file. Now if I click on the print icon, and here I have an extra underscore. Let me try again. Okay, now the print method is working correctly. Now let me try the save file feature. So if I click on save file, the save file as method will get triggered. And I'll name this file test2. And instead I'll create that as a markdown file. Test2 and save. Now if I go back to my Notepad folder, and here's my markdown file. Now the open, save, and the save as actions seems to all work correctly. We can now move on to the second item, which is the editing menu. So I'll copy these notes. This one will be edits menu. And this one will be edits toolbar. For the edits menu, and we'll reference the menu bar methods that add menu, and we'll insert the edits menu, and we'll assign the shortcuts to letter E. And this one will be edits toolbar. Let's see, toolbar, okay. And I'll set my icon size to 60 by 60. And I'll add the toolbar to my application. And I'll place the toolbar at the bottom as well. So Qt button toolbar area, and followed by the toolbar object. Now we're going to create the undo and redo actions. So undo action is equals to self.create action. And we'll provide the icon path and the action title and the status bar description. For the trigger method, we can just reference self.editor.undo method. And here, let me see. Oh, so here I have an extra open close parenthesis. For the shortcuts, so I can reference the undo shortcuts. And this one's going to be redo action. So I'm just going to copy these two lines and just rename the action name. So redo action, redo, and this one will be redo as well. Now I want to add these two actions to my edits menu and actions, undo action and redo action. This one's optional. I'm going to create a clear action, which is going to clear all the contents in my text editor. Just be aware that when you perform a clear action, the action is going to delete all the text in the text editor, as well as all the undo and the redo history is also going to get cleared. I'll name this action clear action. And the file name is clear.ico. clear and clear. I don't have the method created yet, so here let me create a method first. I'll name this method clear contents. And basically I'm just going to set the plain text to empty strings. So self the clear contents. And I want to add this action to my menu and toolbar. Now let me just test the clear action feature real quick. So if I type hello world, and if I manually just delete the contents, and if I use the shortcut Ctrl Z, and that returns the previously action, which is hello world. Now if I select clear, and that's going to clear the contents. Now if I do Ctrl Z, and now the hello world text is not going to get burned back, because when you use the clear action feature, that's going to clear everything, the history, the contents, everything. Now let me close the window. To separate the group, so we can insert separator. So from the edit menu, we can use the edit separator method to create a separator. And as well as for the edit toolbar. And I don't see the icons. Let me double check. So this should be icons, not icon. Okay. And that means this will be icons as well. Now we're going to create cut, copy, paste, and the select all actions. This one will be cut. And here I'm going to add another separator. So I'll copy these two lines and I'll just copy and paste. The last action that's left is the wraptext action. So wraptext. And I'll name this action wraptext action. And the icon name is wraptext.ico. Wraptext and wraptext. So I don't have the method created, and let's go ahead and create the wraptext method. And I'll name this method toggle wraptext. So here I'm going to say that from the self.editor object set line wrap mode, and I want to grab the reverse value of the line wrap mode value, so like that. And we'll send this method to our wraptext action. This one's optional, but I want to assign a shortcut to my wraptext action object. And I want to assign the shortcut Ctrl Shift plus W. And to finish the application, want to add the last action to our edit menu and toolbar. So edit menu, add action, wraptext action, and this will be edit toolbar. And that's it. Now that's everything in terms of writing the code. Now we need to do some testing. The first thing I'm going to examine is do I have all the menu items? So if I go to file and I see that I have all the file items, and if I go to edit, so here we have undo, redo, clear, cut, copy, paste, select all, and the last one is wraptext. Now I'm going to look at the toolbar to make sure that I have all the items created. And let's see. So here I'm going to grab a simple paragraph. Maybe this one. So this one. Actually, maybe these two paragraphs. And I'm going to copy paste to my Notepad. The main thing I want to test is the wraptext function. So if I click on wraptext, that's going to toggle the wraptext mode. That looks pretty good. Now if I use the shortcuts Ctrl Shift W, and the shortcuts working as well. And cut. So if I do cut and paste, and this one is select all, and that's going to select all the text in my Notepad. So this is everything I'm going to cover in this tutorial, and you can download the source code in the description below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.